What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I hope you like this video. So listen, this is Ready to Love season 6, episode 5. We're at the end of the white party. We had like a little cliffhanger last week. We know that Zoe, Justice, and LJ are at the bottom. Justice had to leave the party early, and so Tommy was like, basically, I'm gonna give y'all another week to impress these ladies. Y'all still at the bottom. Let's be clear. Y'all, one of the three of y'all will go home, but you have a chance to sort of, get yourself back in the game. Basically the same thing he did week 1 with the ladies, right? So we see Tommy meet with the 3 guys to talk to them about why they were at the bottom and what the ladies want to see from them. With LJ, it basically, everybody feels like that LJ is like player, like he's trying to, they're not sure if it's sincere because they feel like he's giving everybody that island boy, life of the party vibe. And LJ's thing was, listen, that's just who I am. I can't stop being who I genuinely am. However, what I can do is do a better job of letting people see that there's more to me than that. And I thought that was a fair answer because if that's who you really are, then that's who you really are. But if people want to see more, then that's what you have to kind of like get them more. So then, with Zoe, it was about the connection and the sincerity. Like people weren't sure that the sincerity was really there. With Justice, child, people just feel like they can't get to know Justice. And Justice was like, well, basically, I'm just doing things in my process. But that's the problem. And that's why I know we had to blow up with Zoe, and I'm going to get to that in a second. But honestly, I really feel like this could have been a double elimination because Justice, you don't get it. I don't think Justice is a bad guy. I know a lot of people are like, oh, he's an asshole, and, he's this and he's that, and, he's cheap. He don't want to pay for no dates and stuff like that. Me, personally, I don't have no problem with... I don't have a problem with any of that because I think at the end of the day, he just isn't... He doesn't like any of the ladies. Like, the reality is, you don't have to chase a man that really wants you or that wants to get to know you. So, when women are, like, giving him his phone number and they don't call, or when they call and he don't call back, or they have one conversation and he doesn't have a second conversation, he just comes off to me as somebody who is very, very much about, this is what I want, this is not what I want, and I can tell very early on what I want and what I don't want. My problem with Justice is, he's not willing to do anything different than what he's already done. And that's what this process is about. Because the reality is, if your way was working, you would be in a relationship. So your way, on some level, doesn't work. And I feel like he's not open to exploring other avenues of meeting, of dating. And because of that, I really think it's time for Justice to go. So So we have a group date. Where are my notes, child? Because I can't remember all these people's names, child. Lord, I can't find my notes. The first group date, I know it was the 3 guys at the bottom, LJ, Justice, and Zoe. And then it was, that's the wrong notebook. These ain't the notes. Here it is right here. And then it was Caddy, whatever the child name is. Charisse, Jamila, and Shanika. And they went go-karts. They went to go ride the go-karts. So from the very beginning, it was very obvious that Zoe is one of those people that absolutely has to win, and he's obnoxious about it. Here's the thing. Ain't nothing wrong with wanting to win. I mean, why play the game if you don't want to win? So they went go-karting. Ain't nothing wrong with wanting to win and wanting to be the first person there. Even though you probably might want to take your foot off the gas a little bit because you are dating, you are in the bottom, you are trying to get out of the bottom, it probably would be okay to let the ladies win. But okay, if that's not in your nature and you can't let it go, cool. But what you don't have to be is an asshole about it. And Zoe was an asshole about it. So that's my first issue, is that Zoe was an asshole about it. Secondly, not only was he an ass about it, but he was rude. Like he slammed into Trinika's car, which ended up hurting her hand, which is still in a cast. And he didn't apologize. Even after it was over, he was like, he didn't say, my bad, girl. My bad. Like, did I hit you? You know, I saw you. Because she literally stopped. Like, she got out of her car and waited for them to finish. So at no point did he, at least on camera, at no point did he say, I'm so sorry. You know, I got a little carried away. Are you okay? You good? I saw you, you know, again, but that tells you where somebody's thinking and where their mindset is, right? Then, the ladies were irritated. And so Charisse mumbled under her breath something about barbecue him, girl. Because I don't know if it was Tranika. I don't know which other lady it was that was talking to him. He heard it. And I think from that point forward, he was pissed. And he was pissed off at Charisse. So, let's take care of the other people first. And then we're going to come back around to this. Because this was a whole mess. Justice went and talked to, I think it was Tranika and Jamila, I think, or Kadian. I hate to say it that they all look alike, but I'm still trying to figure everybody out. You know, sometimes people put on a different hairstyle and they look the same. But I think it was Kadian and Jamila, because I think Tranika was off with LJ having a conversation. But anyway, it don't matter. One of the ladies wanted to talk to Justice about the fact that, you know, she called him, he didn't call her back. Blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. And listen, Justice was being rude. He was being short. Let me not say rude. He was being very short. He was being very short with her, and in regard as it relates to, this is how I feel. This is what I've got to say about it. This is where I am. He made a couple of comments. First of all, she DM'd him at like 12:30 at night and was like, "Are you up? If you're up in the next 20 minutes, can I call you or can you call me?" Call me old-fashioned. But you can't call me at 12:30 at night. You can't even send me a message to call me at 12:30 at night. Unless A, it is an emergency. Or B, we have already established that that's how we talk. I have, you know, and again, we're talking about dating. Yes, I have friends who can call me and I can call them. But I already felt some kind of way. And maybe he did too. Because I would have been like, well, what you calling me for? Like, what you need to talk to me about at 12:30? So then he called or whatever. And he said, well, all you wanted to do was talk about other people. I wanted to talk about like us. And she was like, well, I wanted to talk about the process. No, you wanted to gossip. You wanted to talk about other people. So you already calling me at 12:30 at night. And I get it that he's a party promoter and he's up and, you know, he keeps late hours, fine. But you already you already calling me at 12:30 at night. And then you calling me at 12:30 at night on some other people's stuff. But overall, Justice, you just not here for the process. Like, that's that. Now, LJ, and I believe it was Tranika. I think it was Tranika. They were having a good conversation. Maybe it wasn't. I apologize if I'm getting the names wrong, but I think it was Tranika. But then later on, LJ went on a date with Tranika, so maybe it wasn't Tranika. But neither here nor there, child. LJ was talking to somebody and they had a good conversation, because that ain't even the important thing. While all of this is going on, Charisse and Zoe are playing pool. Charisse says to Zoe, so are you feeling me or what? And from there, it went downhill. Now, I don't think Charisse was wrong in asking him that. Again, the purpose of this show is to try to date, try to see if you have a connection with as many people as possible. Charisse said last week that she was already going out of her comfort zone because Zoe isn't her normal type. For whatever reason, I don't know if she don't like big guys. I don't know if she don't like bald guys. I don't know if she don't like guys with a beard. I don't know. Like, I don't know what it is that's not her normal type. So I don't think she was wrong to be like, well, I tried to reach out to you. You weren't really that responsive. And he's being very rude with her. He was like, well, you know, I don't know. I don't think I'm feeling it. And that probably could have been the end of the conversation. But let's remember, we're filming a show. So I'm sure that the production wasn't going to allow the conversation to end with, nah, I don't really think I'm feeling it. Well, what's going on? Like, I tried to call you. You didn't call me back. And he's, like I said, he's being very short with her. And then he finally just tells her, because you fake as fuck. She was like, fake? What do you mean fake? Because you know you fake as fuck. Like, you know you ain't really feeling me. I ain't really feeling you. And that is what it is. And I don't have time for it. Like, you just fake. And I know the word aggressive is an overly used term. But he was loud, which the people said that he's normally loud. That's fine, because I am too. He was loud. He had the pool stick in his hand. And he really did have an aggressive stance in her face. I'm gonna be honest, if I were in her situation and he was talking to me the way he was talking to her, I would be concerned about this going to a place that I'm not comfortable with, right? Like, I'm really surprised that production didn't step in, because it looked bad. And maybe it just looked worse than it was, but it looked bad. So they, of course, got into a back and forth, and Charisse was like, what are you talking about? And of course, it ended with Charisse saying, I don't want your ass anyway. And he was like, see, that just proved my point. Well, it doesn't really prove her point, because, again, like she said, she was trying, to go outside of her comfort zone. Now, LJ eventually did go and try to talk to him, and he really wasn't trying to hear what LJ had to say, and then he eventually just left before they could kind of calm down, before they could talk it out, before they could resolve the issue. Justice wasn't nowhere to be found. I don't know where Justice ass was, but Justice was like, that ain't my problem. He probably had to leave and go do another event. I don't know. So that was that. And so at that point, I knew pretty much that Zoe's ticket had been punched. Like, Justice, I was like, well, Justice just bought himself another week. Because once that footage got back to production, not even just Tommy, but just as a production as a whole, that just wasn't a good look. The way that whole thing dissolved, and the way he was just in her face, and it wasn't a good look. And I couldn't imagine, especially since he didn't have no connections. Now, if Zoe had some solid connections, I could see them trying to maybe work some stuff, right? Maybe him have a one-on-one with Tommy. We've seen stuff like that in the past. But ultimately, he ain't really had no connections on this show. So I knew Zoe was going to be gone. Sorry. Spoiler alert. But I was really hoping for a double elimination. So then we had LJ, or I wrote LB, but I think his name is LJ. He went on a date with Trinika. And again, I felt like they had a good connection. They had a really good date. Then we had a little outdoor lunch activity. I don't like to use the term picnic. Google it, and you know why. But it was with Brandy and Mike and Samson and Looney. Now, Brandy and Mike were in their own little world. Like, Brandy and Mike, like, I feel like they meeting up more than just on this show, because they was way too comfortable with each other, and they basically were having their own little private date, okay? But it was cute. They're cute together. Mike's concern is that Brandy is a flight attendant and her not being home, and she was like, but I live here. Like, first of all, I can pick my own route, so I can literally fly and be back the same day. But even if I go and I'm gone for a couple of days, like, I'm coming back. Like, I live here. So, Mike, I'm gonna need, that was really a little concerning for me, that you were really concerned about the fact that she was gonna be gone for 2 or 3 days. Like, it's not a long distance relationship, sir. Calm down. She'll be back. Samson and Looney had a good time. They had to go off to the side because, like I said, Mike and Brandy was having their own little situation going on. But they had a good conversation. Now, Samson still, I still don't feel like he was digging too deep, but it was a good conversation. Like, the conversation flowed, they laughed, that kind of thing. So we meet in the ladies' lounge. So actually, we see, what's her name? Shakira went to talk to Tommy, and she expressed to Tommy that she found out that the things that she shared in the ladies' lounge, not only was it brought up in her face, but it was also brought up behind her back. So that means that some of the other ladies were talking to the guys about what happened in the ladies' lounge. Now, we know that Tommy always says what happens here stays here, but we also know that it never does, right? We know that whatever happens, like, it's always repeated. People know who said what, who's kissing who's doing this, like, it's happened in the past. But I will say that I can understand her feeling. I know people are like, well, she's on national TV, blah, 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 blah. But there's a part of me that's like, I can understand her feeling like, let me tell my story. Like, yes, once the show airs, it's going to be public. But let me tell my story in this moment while we're filming this show. And I can understand her feeling some kind of way. So she did go to talk to Tommy. Tommy told her she didn't have to be in the ladies' lounge. And I feel like he told her that so he could have the conversation with the women without her being on the spot, without her being there. So as soon as the ladies came in, before they started talking about the men and who was going home, he did let them know, listen, I she came to me. She had some concerns. She felt some kind of way. I really don't appreciate the fact that things are being repeated. Please be respectful of people. We said what happens here stays here. Now, Kaden, whatever the child name is, the one that was the one repeating it, her attitude was, oh, well, this ain't no therapy session. Like, whatever. And I was like, now that's some bitch shit. Because my thing is, even if you don't think you're doing anything wrong, when somebody expresses to you that what you did hurt them, then your response should be, that wasn't my intention. I'm sorry. Not doubling down. But whatever. So, I don't need to go through all that, child. We know Mike is at the top because Mike has a solid connection. Randall has 2 solid connections. So those names are really at the top of the list. Bottom were the same 3 guys. And it was a matter of who's going home and who's going to get the you need to do better talk. You can always tell who's not going home because the person who's going home usually gets paired with somebody that they have absolutely no connection with. And the person who's getting the you need to do better talk is usually paired with somebody that they have a connection with or they're trying to have a connection with, right? So they put Brandy with Zoe. Brandy has absolutely no connection to Zoe. And then they put Trinika and Justice. And we know that Trinika actually was trying to have a decent conversation with Justice, right? So Zoe got the you need to do better conversation. And I fully anticipate Zoe's going to be the next guy to go home. Because he still is like, I'm doing it my way. I mean, even at the end of the conversation, he's telling Trinika about going on a date. Yeah, because I'll pay for the next date because it's going to be free. Sir, you're not paying for none of these dates. Ready to Love is paying for all of this. So you mean to tell me that even when somebody else is paying, you can't take nobody out on a date? That's... Boy, bye. Anyway, moving on. I mean, look at what Samson did. Samson planned a whole outdoor activity. That did not involve going to a restaurant and spending a lot of money. I mean, he did... they did buy, fruit and salads and, stuff for them to eat. And then, of course, they had wine. But he probably spent $50. I mean, depending on the quality of the wine. Anyway, child. So, Brandy is at the restaurant waiting for Zoe. Child, Brandy's still waiting for Zoe because Zoe ass ain't never show up. And I think that is some real bitch made stuff right there. You know the game, you know the rules, you know the show you signed up for. You know that there's a 1 in 10 chance or 12 chance, however many singles there are, that you're going to get that talk. You're going to get the you're not ready for love conversation. So, well, really, anyway, whatever the percentage is, there's usually 2 couples, whatever, however it works out. So I'm like, you know how things went down. Like, and Brandy didn't have nothing to do with it. So why wouldn't you go have the conversation with Brandy and say, you know what, that's cool, I get it, I knew this was coming, and keep it moving. Like, you ain't even have to sit there and draw it out, but at least show up. Like, that's messed up, Zoe. That's real messed up. And people were saying, oh, well, I can't wait to the reunion. I'm not holding my breath that he coming to the reunion because he already know what he gonna get at the reunion. But anyway, let me know what y'all think. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.